This is the Okanagan Sun Coaches Show with Jason Casey and Ryan Waters.
Sunday, the Sun will host their interior rival, the Kamloops Broncos, at the Apple Bowl at 2 o'clock. The Sun and Broncos faced off in Week 1 of the BCFC season, with the Sun beating the Broncos at Hillside Stadium 40-14. Now, the Sun are coming off a 69-0 shutout in West Shore, as a number of players had personal bests. And head coach Jason Casey says it was the most complete game of the year.
I think so. Even in the 5 years that I've been here, offense, defense, special teams, everybody played phenomenal. I absolutely loved how big, mean, and nasty our O-line was. They've been practicing that way, and to see them now do it in a game was phenomenal. The receivers, the running backs, the defense played great. The defense's on-field communication was amazing. Everybody knew where they were supposed to be and when. The leaders stepped up when they needed to be. Yeah, I was just thoroughly impressed for 60 minutes.
Does the defense get rewarded at all by pitching a shutout? And really, they've pitched a shutout for the last 2 games.
No, that's their job. They know that I'm a hard ass when it comes to that, and that I want that expectation for them, and they know that. They want that sense of pride also to know that they've played so well that they kept our offense on the field and the other team's offense not crossing the goal line. So, they get a pat on the back and say, look what, we get to say, see what happens when we play the system to its fullest, when 12 guys do their own responsibility and, everything kind of gels on the football field. So it's rewarding for them to finally see that happened, and now they know, hey, we got to keep this going. Let's do this for another week, and then another week, and then another week, so it becomes a snowball effect.
The combination of Morovic to Turek seems to have a little bit more success in the last couple of games. Why?
I think Danny has finally kind of come out of his shell. I don't know. He hasn't been the Danny Turek of old, and I think this past game against the Rebels shows opposing corners and safeties what he can do, so DCs have to be aware of that. And now JJ knows, the kind of athlete that Danny is. I mean, this is JJ's first year, so, he doesn't know if, the Derek Mann or the Bobby Davis of old know who, what Danny can do, and they can just keep throwing it to him. But JJ hasn't seen that. Now that Danny has stepped up and shown, okay, I'm going to get yards after catch. I'm going to get those tough balls over the middle or the outside, or I'm going to go deep and not let someone catch me. And I'm glad to see the Danny Turek of old back. Yeah, it's essentially it's the Danny Turek of 08 and 09. And it's great.
This week you face the Kamloops Broncos, a team that's given up the most points in the BCFC with 309. Do you expect to see a lot more offense again from this team?
I hope so. And that's not a slight on the Kamloops Broncos. I just want to see our offense keep plugging. We're not going to let our foot off the gas pedal. It's not our job to stop ourselves. So we're going to go out there and still execute our game plan to the fullest. And if you can't stop us, sorry.
Defensively, do you change anything against the Broncos? Any matchups?
No, we're tweaking on stuff as we get, towards the end of the season and for playoffs and whatnot. So we're working on certain things that we want to see our guys do individually, like each kind of player get better. System-wise, it's working great. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So we're not going to change anything. Our defense is playing well. As I said earlier, against the Rebels, they played very well mentally and physically. Everybody knew their responsibility, so we're going to keep hashing on that, just so no matter what Kamloops throws at us, we can stay calm and say, you know what, no worries, this is how we're going to adjust, go back out there and execute.
What do you want to establish early?
The run again. From the offense, for sure, I want to establish the run. I want their front 7 to fear our front 5, and Bakic and Pollock and Bradley as the game goes on, and Maloff and everybody else. So I want to establish that run, because then it opens up everything else. You can always go back to the run, but once you establish the run, it opens up the short pass, and then once you establish the short pass coupled with the run, then you've got the deep ball. So then you've got all 3 facets of what you want to do in the offense, and you can just control that clock and put points on the board. You
got the Broncos this week, the Huskers next week, then you have the Raiders. Is it difficult when you play the 2 weaker teams in the league before you play one of the biggest games?
I don't think so. I really don't care who our opponent is. We've got our game plan for that current opponent, and we're going to execute it, and then come Sunday or Monday, we'll get ready for the next one. We know what our schedule is. We understand on paper how it's going to be, but I'm not going to let our players get so full of themselves that we're going to look past someone, because then that's when you get bit in the ass. And I'm not going to allow that to happen to this football team. None of the coaches are going to allow that. We know our game plan is for the Broncos this week, and until Sunday at 5 o'clock, we're not looking past the Broncos.
The 1-6 Broncos have lost 5 straight, and they're struggling to find some consistency in their game. Last week, they would use 4 different quarterbacks as head coach Duncan Othius is trying to find some rhythm.
Well, we are looking for consistency. Jesse did get hurt in the first the first quarter there pretty early. He had a little issue with his shoulder, but he's good to go now. And So we threw other guys back in there, and at the end, we put in Steve Sherweller, and that was just to get him playing time as well again. So, like once we put Drew in, and then we couldn't really get anything going, and then we just tried to keep on going to see if we could, if one of them could spark the O, and that never happened eventually.
Is consistency your biggest challenge right now?
I think it is. Like this team, we still believe this team can be very good if we can just put a 60-minute game together, and we haven't been able to do that yet. It's a little bit frustrating as coaches and as players as well, but we got to find some way to put that 60 minutes together and get it going.
What are those ways that you're trying to attack that, the lack of consistency?
It's just in the practice, we got to come up with some new ways to do it, keep these kids fresh, and see if they something exciting, whether on O or D, trying to throw something at them that they can have some excitement with it and take it from there.
You face the Okanagan Sun this weekend. You faced them back in week 1. Can you take anything away from that meeting? It was so early in the season, obviously the first game, and then implement it here in week 8? I
think we can a bit. I know we just watched both our films in the first week, and we watched their film against Victoria or West Shore. And it seems they've changed their O. I know Jay is a very good O coordinator, so they're a very balanced team, and it's going to be tough. They're basically like Nanaimo, but they're very balanced, and they have weapons with Jeremy there. It's going to be tough. We got to keep him in the pocket and don't let him outside that pocket, or he can be very dangerous. That's on defense, of course. Offensively, what do you want to establish early? We want to get the run game going, because once we get that going, I think if we can start running the ball, they'll play the backers off, and then we can hopefully hit them with a little bit of play action. The 6-1 Sun host the 1-6 Broncos on Sunday afternoon at the Apple Bowl. Kickoff at 2 o'clock. I'll have the play-by-play beginning with the kickoff show at 1:45. Until Sunday afternoon, I'm Ryan Waters.